You've been dispatched to a working fire. Upon arrival, you find the house fully involved 300 feet off the street. What is your hose load of choice? My name's Captain Rick Myers. This is Captain Mike Rumsey. Welcome to Atlanta's Training Minute.
Today in Atlanta Fire Rescue Training Minute, we're covering the skid load. Before we can even start stretching any hose, you need to come around on your rig every morning like you do and make sure everything's properly loaded. First, you should have 2 loops on the bottom run. You shouldn't have any loops other than the ones that are on the bottom. That allows you to get the whole skid load off. You should make sure these folds right here are past the diamond plate. That 1/4 inch of diamond plate will actually cause the hose to get stuck and not deploy properly. Make sure your nozzles are in the middle. That allows the hosman or plugman to know when they're in the middle of the load and have it carry on their shoulder properly. And also, some of these baffles are just a little too narrow and it may cause the hose. What we can do to eliminate that problem is when we're loading the skid load back up, we can actually stack our hose in a similar fashion like this, which will give us just that extra space on either side to allow it to come off the floor correctly. After we check the hose up in the hose bed, you want to come down and make sure this 1 3/4 line's on the outside of your supply line, which leads us to our appliance that it's all hooked to. This is called a water thief. A water thief has a 2.5 discharge on the other end, which allows us to extend either a 2.5 hand line or another 3-inch skid load to the end of this water thief. You want to make sure your gates are closed, you want to make sure the discharge is closed, and you also want to make sure this water thief is turned the correct way. If it's turned the opposite way, you obviously won't get washed. Briefly cover what everybody's responsibilities are based on their riding position. First off, your hosman's responsibility is to get this section right here. He's going to pull both these loops. He's going to leave this short piece on the hose bed, stretch it, put it on his shoulder. That'll give him 20 feet to step over here and out of the way. Next, your plugman's going to come over here and release the water thief. He's going to get his section on his shoulder. Again, leaving that first run in the hose bed, not on his shoulder. He's going to carry the water thief and his section of hose, and both of them are going to work together. Now we're going to demonstrate the proper way to pull the skid load and go over everybody's responsibilities based on their riding positions. Go, Miller. Now, Firefighter Miller's riding hose. He's going to get the right-hand section of the hose, skid load on his shoulder. We're making sure he doesn't get this whole. Firefighter Miller's got the skid load deployed halfway. He knows that by where the nozzle is located in the hose load. It's on his shoulder. Now he's going to pull off and he's going to step out of the way. That's why we leave that little tail up on the hose bed. Firefighter Combs is riding plug today. The first thing he does is come up to the tailboard, releases the water thief, and gets his side of the skid load up on his shoulder. He too is careful not to get the pigtail. He gets the nozzle up on his shoulder and he spins around and grabs the water thief. After we get the skid load properly deployed from the hose bed on the shoulder, we have a long way up a driveway, a couple hundred feet perhaps. Our sergeant will come off the truck and will actually assist with getting some slack off the back of the hose bed. Just a simple 3 or 4 good pulls usually will help us out. Be careful not to pile it up in a knot.
Boom. You can stop.
Go. Now when you're deploying this hose, it's important for the hosman and plugman to work together. Obviously this is an over-exaggerated example, but there could be parked cars, any type of obstacles, and this is what we don't want to happen, is then to actually wrap the hose around the object. The placement of the water thief is critical on this type of hose load. Obviously we don't want it too far away from the building, but also being too close can be detrimental and not allow you to flake out your hose correctly. Place it anywhere from 20 to 30 feet from the front door. Obviously closer if it's a larger building, possibly a little further back if it's a smaller building. The most important thing with this particular hose load is getting your hose laid down properly. If you lay it down neatly and correctly, it's easy to deploy. Mr. Combs, Firefighter Combs here is riding plug. His line's not going to get into play first because we get one line into play by one engine. So he's going to set his down neatly out of the way from where we're going to make our entry. Firefighter Miller's riding hose. We're going to actually use his line to go in the building and attack the fire. The important thing to remember when setting your attack line down is it needs to be perpendicular to the point of entry. The important thing to remember as we're getting ready to deploy this hose line is the hosman will get his nozzle, And 3 runs of hose, run his hand just basically down behind this, 3 runs back, and he's going to walk towards the house. Mr. Miller's going to demonstrate that now. Now he's going to walk his slack out of his nozzle back to the point where he started from until he finds the first coupling. Once Miller found his coupling, he's going to walk it back to his nozzle and set it down. Now he's going to get on this nozzle and start getting his stuff on, getting ready to go in and fight the fire. Firefighter Miller's riding plug. After we get our first sections flaked out, he's going to come find the other coupling in the middle of the hose. Once he's located his coupling, he's going to simply walk towards the nozzle. Once the other coupling is located beside the first one, he's simply going to stretch out the slack and what's left next to the thief. He's going to walk over and turn on the water thief. At this point in time, we'll be ready to go in and fight fire. We'll go over some things real quickly about the water thief that's very important. We want to only charge the line on which we're going to use as the attack line. We know that by the handle being parallel with the coupling. We want to ensure that the second line that's not being put in place is actually still off. We know that because it's perpendicular to the coupling, and at which time this is deployed, the other company is responsible for it. As you can see, we have our nozzle, coupling, and we do that for several reasons. First off, as you're stretching inside the building, if you have to go more than 50 feet, you're only technically dragging 25 added feet at a time, as opposed to dragging a straight 150-foot line. It also allows for nice S's in the hose, so once it's charged, it eliminates the possibility of any sharp kinks. It also lets everybody know exactly that you're ready to make entry, that your hose is ready to be charged.
Thank you for viewing today's Atlanta's Training Minute. Any further subject that you would like to see covered in one of our training minutes, please email myself, Captain Rick Myers at Station 14, or Captain Mike Rumsey at Station 20. We appreciate your input. Thank you again.